Alright, folks, it's story time. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Collector's Vault, where cardboard is king. My name is Mike, and like I said, we're gonna have a bit of a story time video today. But definitely more on the heartfelt side. I'm not trying to get all emotional and stuff, but this is gonna be a very, pretty serious discussion about the importance of Yu-Gi-Oh, at least in my life. Now, as you know, many fans of mine know, again, I have some people who on here are Pokemon fans. This video is kind of relevant in case you want to watch it, but I'm specifically focusing on the card game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Pokemon will get brought up a little bit because it is, you know, a rather there is some overlap between Pokemon, because I have a lot of memory with Pokemon. I have a lot of memory with Pokemon. I have a lot of nostalgia with Pokemon. I don't play the card game right now. I really just don't know if I would really enjoy it unless maybe if someone ever built me a Tyranitar deck, and then yeah, maybe I'll have some fun playing that. But I have no desire to play the actual game. This is more so just me collecting the cards that I love, collecting the older ones from my childhood, and maybe picking up some newer stuff along the way for, you know, long-term investment purposes, and just, you know, because again, I like to collect things. But Yu-Gi-Oh was definitely the game that really took off. That made me get more into the community of the card game. You know, I actually play the game, and I to an extent do still play the game today. It's more like I just kind of just play in my spare time, because I haven't actually played in an actual tournament since the pandemic started last year. So I'm definitely itching for a real game, and I mean not just playing online. I mean playing with the actual cards in my hand. I really do miss that. Who knows? Maybe when things start opening back up again and people aren't, you know, as on edge. I mean, I personally have no problem going to these places. It's just I know some people, they're still closed, and they recommend online games. What's it called? Virtual duels or whatever they're doing right now for tournaments. It's kind of whatever. It's not for me. But anyway, back to the main reason why I want to talk about this is just what was the importance of Yu-Gi-Oh in my life, and you know, why I guess we can say, why do I like it? Why do I continue to like it? Why do I collect it? And you know, what the game has done for me. So now I'm an old fossil, guys. So when I was 12 years old, 11 or 12, that was when the game actually came out, and it was, you know, Legend of Blue Eyes, the original Yugi and Kaiba starter decks. The TV show was starting to come out on TV. You know, it's you know, basically the exact same thing as Pokemon. I think I mentioned before. The card game comes out, the video games come out, the TV show comes out, and it just sucks you right in. And Yu-Gi-Oh was no exception. So that was, you know, we played it in school, we played it at recess, you know, and obviously as the new sets came out, it was pretty exciting seeing these new, you know, all the monsters from the TV show actually becoming cards that you can play with. And that was, you know, all in great fun. By the time of high school rolled around, so you know, like 2 or 3 years down the road, all my friends just stopped playing the game, and I kind of just, you know, followed along with them. I kind of just got more involved in playing football. I started getting more into girls and everything. So yeah, because we were getting into high school, and this is kind of where I wish I can go back and maybe say, hey, keep playing the game. You don't have to, you know, let the whole world know that you play it, but keep playing the game, keep collecting, and I probably would have a much better collection than I have right now. And the same can be said for Pokemon, but I was very foolish in my youth. I'll put it that way. Because man, can you imagine all the amazing things I would have if I just kept collecting as a kid? But you know, anyway, it was only until after high school, this is my first or second year of college, that I actually started getting back into the game. Because in college, you know, people are, you know, there's all different kind of groups of colleges. People who like all different kinds of things. People who like movies, people who like sports, people who like tabletop games, people who like card games, all that stuff. So you can find your little nerdy faction, and you can be accepted among them. And it was great, because then I was able to keep all my friends from high school and college, and some of them would know yeah, I actually wanted to get back into playing the game because it's just fun, and I wanted to start to collect again. I lost out on 4 or 5 years of not collecting in really key time frames in the card game history. But what are you gonna do? So anyway, it was people that I met at my work, people who I did meet a few people on college as well that liked the game, and it was just kind of fun getting back into it. And this is kind of where ever since then, I was back into playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and obviously I got much more competitive as the years went on. At first, it was very casual, like, oh look, I just want to go play some of the old decks I used to play when I was a kid, and then obviously I learned when playing at like tournaments or with among other people that the like I guess you can consider my knowledge of the game to be GOAT format now. But everyone was playing modern standard decks, and they were just they would stomp all over me. I was obviously like bad at the game, but the thing is, I was a very competitive person, like not just in games. Just like I think I am kind of rather competitive. Like I don't like to lose at things. I mean, I can accept loss, and then I obviously want to improve, and I want to win next time. So whenever I would just go casually hang out at a card shop and people would show me some of the newer stuff, like when I got back into the game, I want to say it was like Absolute Power Force was the new Synchro set that came out. So obviously seeing Synchros was like holy crap, like what are these things? And I picked up on it quickly, but I thought Synchros were like the coolest thing of all time. And I thought, well, how the heck am I supposed to beat this? Like, I would brag about having one synchro monster. Oh, I can't wait to summon this against you. I mean, I look back on it, and it's pretty childish of just how I felt. But in a way, that's kind of just like the inner kid in me coming out when I got back to the game. And obviously, as the years went on, and I started to invest more money into the game, and I started to pick up, I started to understand. I started to understand how the game is nowadays, and I obviously got better at the game. And then it became a regular thing where I would go to tournaments like on weekends and like Saturday afternoons or maybe Thursday nights, depending on the stores in the area. And again, this is like 8 years ago. So now I would go around, and that's how I would meet new people. I would play against really other competitive people, and I would lose, I would win. I basically became part of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and I mean like the good part of it, not like. I hate using this word, but there is like that toxic section of the community that everybody keeps complaining about, and that's probably a video for another time. But this is all about the positives. So and it was around that time that I actually met my best friend Pete. I think I mentioned Pete in a couple of videos. Pete was actually, excuse me. Pete was actually, like he ran the card shop that I was going to in my neighborhood, and that's kind of like how we became friends. And obviously, it grew into a bigger friendship because we realized we had a lot more in common than just Yu-Gi-Oh. But I always think of that as like the main, like, it's like it makes me really appreciate that Yu-Gi-Oh is the reason why I met Pete. Pete is again a great guy. He's my best friend. I was his best man, and he's going to be my best man. And I realized if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh, I never would have met him. And this even goes back into like not even just college, like when I met Pete, but then after I graduated and I became a real adult, and I had a real adult job, and I had to start doing real adult things like paying bills, paying rent, and paying off my college loans and everything and all that. Like when adulthood really hit, I still had Yu-Gi-Oh with me as a fun little hobby, and I really think like Yu-Gi-Oh really did a lot for me because this is just like a personal experience. When I got my first job out of school, it was actually like in a different town, so I had to move all the way out into like the Reading, Pennsylvania area, and it was just an area that wasn't too far from where I was. Like obviously, it was maybe like a 2-hour drive. So an hour and a half, yeah, maybe like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. So it was a decent hike to get up there, and so I had to actually because that's where my job was. I actually had to get like an apartment up there. And so I saw my family every now and again, but I didn't see my friends as often as I was like to, because again, it was a 2-hour drive. I couldn't see them like every single weekend. It would be pretty tough. I definitely went through a bit of like a hard time in my life, and this is not me again, not trying to be all heartfelt and oh woe is me. This is not like a pity video, but I did have a time in my life where I was very. I don't want to use like these like really negative words like depressed and stuff, because I'm sure some people will yell at me and say, "Oh, you don't know what depression is." The point is, there was definitely a time in my life where while I was living in Reading, that I just I wasn't myself, because the job I had was very stressful. I didn't really know as many people as I would like to up there. I tried to make friends, and it took some time, and I'll get into that in a second. But it was a stressful job. It was just like a whole new environment. Like me living on my own. And the thing is, I think I'm a pretty independent person. Like I'd be fine living on my own. I actually enjoyed having that privacy of having my own place. Just that like me again like that next step in like adulthood, owning my own place, or in this case renting. But because I didn't really have like I mean, well, I shouldn't say. I definitely had the support of my friends and family, but it was just that because I'm so far away from them, I couldn't always rely to go hang over, like drive over and see my parents and like rant or go grab a beer with my friends. I didn't really have that. Even some of like my Yu-Gi-Oh friends that I had back home, I couldn't just go and play cards with them. I would have to go like resort to playing things like online. I think at the time, Dueling Book was the best way to do that. And you know, again, it was Dueling Book. It was a great, or no, it was not Dueling Book, Duel Network. I forget what it was called, but like you guys know, the like whatever Dueling Book was, that's what I think it was called DN Duel Network. I think it was. But anyway, that was okay as like a tool, but I didn't want to rely on that just to play the game. So. But anyway, the important thing is, for a good couple of years, I was trying to, you know, do my best at work, and eventually it came to the point where I wanted to move back home. I wanted to get like a better job, you know, like there was just, you know, I think that's just, it happens to everybody. Everybody wants to better themselves, and so I wanted to better myself, get a better job, and try to move back home so I could see my friends and family, you know, a lot more often. So during that time, for a good like 2 years, because I think I kind of came to this realization after a year of working in Reading. So for the next 2 years, I was applying for jobs. I was trying to, you know, better myself while trying to keep my sanity from the stress of the job I had. You know, it was kind of tough trying to move back home because like it was really tough trying to get a job at that time. I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was an economy reason or just maybe I didn't have enough experience. Plenty of things came around where I just, you know, someone else got the job. Okay, and anyway, back to the important thing. So I really have to thank Yugioh for keeping me somewhat sane at the time, because I know people tend to think like, and a lot of people who are ignorant out there, people those of you who are watching who are not Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, you know, card game fans, you're probably thinking, oh, if you like these card games, you're kind of like one of these like stereotypical like, you know, like nerdy kids that probably have like pillows of anime girls and all that stuff. Like that's kind of what you can kind of get roped into. And for those of you who actually like that stuff, this is not me hating on you. It's just that this is kind of like the stigma that you're given by people who don't understand that, who don't like the card game. They kind of look at you as like they'll think, oh, like you're weird, you're different, you're a nerd, you're a geek, like all these, you know, like nasty things that can be pretty hurtful to people. I didn't really let that bother me because again, I like the card game for my own reasons. But regardless of that, I could always fall back on the game to actually kind of like give me something to do. And the more important thing I was trying to say was it kind of like kept me sane, because despite all the stress that I was going through on Saturdays and I think Thursdays, it was Thursdays and Saturdays up in the Reading area, there were tournaments I can go to, or I can go to the local comic book shop and sit down and just play the game. And I bet not everybody who sat down at that card shop was probably like going to become my best friend or anything, but they were all genuinely nice people, and they just wanted to be among other people who enjoyed the game. Because although we didn't have a lot in common, we had Yu-Gi-Oh in common, and because I loved the game so much, it was fun talking to these people about, hey, what is your favorite card? What decks do you like to play? And I think maybe even they felt more accepted there. They were happy to see someone else come over. Maybe I'm sure they enjoyed seeing someone new come to the shop and, you know, talk about the game as well. And I did also actually meet some good friends up there, because like, and I'm not gonna like, you know, name all of them because there's so many that I met up there, but a lot of them went to the local college at Kutztown. And this is where, again, I have to thank Yu-Gi-Oh for this. So not only was Yu-Gi-Oh kind of like giving me something to do on like Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons and Thursdays, where I get to continue to play the game, I continue to have fun, and actually keep up with the game, keep up with like the meta and the competitive scene. But it actually it gave me a great chance to actually meet people who were about my age. You know, they were still in college, so they were a few years younger than me. But then through Yu-Gi-Oh, I met these great guys that I'm still friends with to this day, and you know, which I'm also very thankful for. And it got me to go hang out with them in the college scene. So, because admittedly, I was trying to go and like just trying to like make friends like at work. And don't get me wrong, and a lot of the guys I work with that were great, just weren't the kind of people I'll probably hang out with every single weekend. But so I'll go to bars trying to see if I can like meet people, maybe meet some women, and obviously like, you know, it was just not working out for me, like trying to do all this on my own. So I have to thank the guys that I met at the card shop because they said, "Hey, why don't you come hang out with us up in Kutztown? You know, it's a college town, and that just it was like perfect because not only did I become friends with them, then I met more people who were friends with them at Kutztown, and again, these guys are all still my friends to this very day, and we still have Yu-Gi-Oh in common. We still have that, to always like refer to catch up on, and again, I really do want to play more with these guys every now and again, even if it is just playing online. I just want to get back to playing with them. But I thought to myself, like, man, like that was one of the biggest, like, one of the things that really lifted up my spirits. Because when you're living on your own and you don't feel like you have a lot of real close friends around you, like closely, like, or within like driving distance, and work's getting you down. For me personally, the online dating thing wasn't going really well, and this caused like a whole vicious cycle where then I was not really caring about my appearance. I was eating too much and then gaining weight. So basically, it was just spiraling into a whole big mess where I was kind of just getting more and more miserable. And luckily, again, I had Yu-Gi-Oh as a fun game, as a fun community, just to fall back on, to at least make me not feel like I'm just completely, as if I have nothing to do. And it became great because then through Yu-Gi-Oh, again, I met these friends. It actually got me to go out into the college bar area. I had people that I knew. It made me, I met new people. It got me a chance to actually interact with like really cute girls. And again, it branched off into a really great thing where if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh, I never would have had that. I actually kind of think if I didn't have Yu-Gi-Oh, I probably just would have been sitting in my house all day, probably playing video games or maybe going to the bar and getting drunk too much, wasting money on that as opposed to playing the game and technically building assets in cardboard, which again I think is still a great thing. So, but yeah, like even to this day, like I still feel like despite the fact what people say, where people again act like there's a lot of toxicity in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I really do feel that the Yu-Gi-Oh community is, like many other card game communities, it is a great thing. You have there's so many great people in there that just love the game. They love the TV show. They just love Yu-Gi-Oh so much that they would give anything to have a conversation with you about it. And then this then probably leads into my next point, was the next level of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, which is not just people at your local card shop and maybe people that were friends with you, but then when it came to the bigger scenes, where I'm sure like every card game has their like big tournaments that are held like in big convention centers. I'm talking about the regionals, and I'm talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh YCSs. These were the next big step when it came to meeting people in the Yu-Gi-Oh community that were not from your local area. I mean, obviously, people in your local area would go there, but then this is where you got a chance to interact with people from all over, like the tri-state area, people in the like nearby states, because everyone will come to the Philadelphia regional, which is the regional that I would always normally attend, and then you start to recognize people at these regionals. You start to recognize the vendors. You kind of became buddy with some of the vendors when I was buying and selling and trading. Buddy with some of the people who were the judges, monitoring the event. And I just think of all the great memories, all the laughs, the jokes, the stories I would tell and I would hear. There was even great times where I would meet someone who was new, it was the first time I met this person, and they would just have really just like random stories, not even Yu-Gi-Oh related, just meeting people and talking about their everyday lives, and that can just be when I'm just sitting down with some random person that I've never met before, and I say, hey man, can I see your binder? And then we might do a trade or buy or sell or some cards, and then we just get to talking, and sometimes it's just like a 5-minute chat, and then I never see the person again. Other times it's people that I will see at every regional, and again it kind of it's just extra networking. It's just extra. It's just you in the community growing and meeting new people. And then then the next level after that is the YCS, where these were held all over the country and technically all over the world, and people would actually fly from other countries to come to these tournaments because of how big they were and because the prize pool is so big. But then you get to meet people from different countries. You obviously every card game has their professional celebrities that play the game hardcore, and they travel the world and they go to all these tournaments to play the game. again, to each their own, but these people exist, and that's their lives, but, whatever. The point is, then you get to meet these people. You get to meet people from other countries who have, like, binders full of, like, different languages, like cards that are, like, in French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, like, all over South America, Europe. You get all these crazy, like, and crazy languages that, some people actually enjoy having decks in different languages. I actually enjoyed how, especially the European, can't talk. I especially like how the European print cards have that, like, darker tone or the darker shading. So it was kind of cool trying to get, like, at the very least, British cards, because British cards were so English, but they had, like, a nice, again, like, a whole different color shading. But again, back to the important thing, I think, is just that, like, I really had those to look forward to. The regionals, the YCSs didn't really come around to Philly that often anymore because, again, there was, like, an issue where Philly couldn't host them anymore. But there were still some, like, up near New York. And but the point is, these big, like, these big tournaments, especially the regionals, were something that I look forward to so much. Like, me and the guys, like, my Yu-Gi-Oh friends, would make a whole weekend out of it. We hang out on Friday. We hang out. We maybe grab some drinks and some pizza. Play test, like, our decks. Then Saturday we go and just spend the entire day at the regional, again, playing, either competing in the tournaments or just meeting up with people, buying, selling, and trading, which I love doing. I love going there just to buy, sell, and trade. Amazing stuff. And then even Sunday we all kind of just wake up and, like, maybe grab breakfast and just kind of maybe even play some more cards, and then we get ready for work the next day. But, like, it was great making a whole weekend out of it. And I guess, like, these are just memories I'm always gonna have. Now, fast forward to today, where, again, like, my life has changed, like, dramatically, and all for the better. Where now I'm in a new house with my fiance. We have a wedding coming up, and obviously, 2020 didn't really bring a lot of opportunity. And 2020 did not bring a lot of opportunity to play the game or to, like, to really go out and do anything. So it's been a bit tough over the last year. But I do believe that there was still a lot of opportunity for me to go out and play the game, to keep up with it. And I still keep up with it, like, by checking things on social media, the internet, and, playing in my spare time, kind of like by myself. Sometimes playing online. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of playing online. I would much rather play in person with the actual cards in my hand. So I'm hoping that in the future I can definitely get back to doing that. It will definitely not be as often as I used to do it. I mean, like, there were times where me and Pete would do it, like, 3 times a week. I mean, like, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at, like, different card shops. Like, and, like, that was one heck of a summer. That was, and then also, like, again, like, and not even, it's not. I don't want people to think that then you just play Yu-Gi-Oh. It's more like you do Yu-Gi-Oh and then you still do your other things. You can still go out. You can still go hang out with the guys from high school, go and have drinks. Like, it's not just Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's just a great hobby to always have in your back pocket. It's always a great hobby to fall back on and to talk about it and just to appreciate. And even now, it's so much of a nostalgia factor. I mean, we see now that even all these old cards from the past generations are, becoming super expensive. They're finally becoming appreciated. It's just such a great time to be a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Despite everything that happened over the last year, Yu-Gi-Oh is. It seems like and you always hear people saying, "Oh, the card game's dying. Oh, they introduced, like, a new game mechanic, a new summoning mechanic. The game's terrible now." Like, and despite the fact that, before 2020, the regional and YCS attendances were increasing every single time. So the game's not dying. The game's more popular now. Even to this day, I think it's more popular now more than ever. I mean, we're seeing this with, again, all these crazy card prices, modern and vintage. It's absolutely insane. And again, it's such a great community to be part of, to belong to, and to remain in. I mean, again, you're gonna have your idiots, and you can't really get around that. But it is what it is. Every community has that. Even non-trading card stuff. You have jerks in the sports community. You kind of just got to deal with those kind of people. But being part of those communities are just so great, and there's so much value to that. And I just have to say, like, again, kind of like looking back on it, although I can't really say that I'm going to be playing as much as I used to, I'm still always going to have Yu-Gi-Oh, and this also applies to Pokemon. I'm always going to have those memories those appreciations for the artworks, for just for the fun that I had. It's never going away, and I really can't put a price on that. And I definitely want to say that if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm not sure where I would be. In a way, I can kind of say like the Yu-Gi-Oh kind of got me to the point where I am right now. So I could always make the argument, hey, if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh, I never would have met Amanda, my fiance. I would never have this house that I have. I would never have all the assets. I would never have like the amount of equity in cardboard, of all things, you know, like, because people would laugh that you're wasting money on this stuff, and now this stuff is kind of like, it could be almost like a retirement fund. I wouldn't have all this if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon as well. But like the point was, Yu-Gi-Oh was the one that really got me back into cards and like trading and buying and selling and just appreciating like these childhood memories. If it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh, I probably would have just always liked Pokemon and just, yeah, I remember Pokemon. I have my binder sitting around somewhere in my room, but I never would have kept collecting. So I have to thank Yu-Gi-Oh for that. And I'm sure many people have all different kind of crazy stories about Yu-Gi-Oh. And to be fair, honestly, I would love to hear that. I think people should make more videos like this. So, I mean, if anybody is actually watching to this point in the video, I'm going to say it right now, I challenge you people who are the other like people on YouTube, make videos and post your video of why you love Yu-Gi-Oh! What has it done for your life? What has it, is it the reason where you are right now? Like the highs and the lows of the game, like, talk about it. It's really fun, and I really am happy that I talked about it like right here in the video. Again, this wasn't like a heartfelt moment video. This is just, it's very therapeutic, just kind of talking about this stuff and reminiscing on all the great memories I've had. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it with you guys, and I'm really happy that I did. And yeah, I think story time's over. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.